Claim your agency, ditch the mask, and come dance with us, awkward, conga line and all. Today, we're getting real about confidence as a practice, not as your persona. Belonging from the inside out and the liberating power of a good, wholehearted yes and. Our guest, TEDx speaker and strategist Julie DeLucca-Collins brings the receipts, habits that build courage, stories that melt shame, and tools to help you show up 1% braver every single day. So take a deep breath, loosen your shoulders, and let's step into our own rhythm together. Hi there. Welcome to the Empowered and Embodied Show. I'm Kim Romain.
And I'm Louise Neal. We're two transformational coaches who are also fellow travelers on the path of growth and self-discovery. And we're inviting you along for the ride.
That's right. We're right here in the trenches with you, navigating the ups and downs of life. And each week we'll be sharing our own experiences, bringing you conversations with amazing guests, and exploring insights and strategies that have helped us find more clarity, confidence, and ease in our lives.
And trust us, we do not have it all figured out. We're learning and growing right alongside you.
So if you're ready to rise above the chaos, doubt, and confusion that sometimes life throws our way,
and step into a more empowered and embodied version of yourself,
then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. I am one of your co-hosts, as always, Kim Romain, joined by my other co-host.
I'm Louise, the other one, and we are joined by our wonderful guest today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie DeLucca-Collins and excited to be here.
We're thrilled to have you here. I know Louise is like jumping out of her skin right now to have this conversation. I'm so excited too. And I want to let the world know a little bit about you so that they have a sense of who's here at the table. So Julie is a powerhouse business strategist, TEDx speaker, and award-winning author dedicated to helping women entrepreneurs build confidence, attract clients, and scale their businesses. As the founder and CEO of Go Confidently Services and host of the Casa De Confidence Podcast, she empowers leaders to create lasting success through proven strategies, mindset shifts, and simple yet powerful habits. Julie, we are so glad to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to invite me and getting to hang out with two powerful ladies. I love it. It's the best way to hang out.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How long have you been in the mindset game? How long have you been doing this for?
Well, let's see. Unofficially, I think I began to do some of this work in 2009. That's when I first went through a divorce and I started to do some of the work because I knew that there was something that wasn't quite working with the way that I was approaching life, doing life. And of course, going through a divorce, I started working with a therapist, but also I started working with a coach. And it was definitely mind-blowing in the sense that it restructured a lot of the way that I thought about things. And I realized that, yes, things happened, but they're happening for us. But more importantly, that we have the agency to be able to decide how we're going to show up. And as I worked with this coach, it created some incredible impact in my own life, not only personally, but then how I started to show up and the things that started to come about in my life. I've always been a high achiever, and certainly I was already in the executive team of the company that I worked for, but I was stuck. And being able to work on some of that mindset helped me to be able to grow and subsequently go into the executive, into the C-suite of the company. So I totally and wholeheartedly will recommend to someone that doing the hard work when it comes to your mind and also working on yourself is the one thing that will help you move toward your dreams or the things that you're trying to accomplish for yourself.
Yeah.
You used two words in there that I just want to pull out. You used a lot of beautiful words. There are two in particular I want to pull out: agency and stuck. And those two in particular, right? Because I think those are two that we hear a lot, but not everybody actually understands what agency means or what it
Yeah.
actually means to be stuck. I'm wondering what would happen if we dove in there.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
So I have to say, agency is the thing that sometimes we don't want to take ownership of, if I may go in that direction. And mainly, and I see this even with my clients as I work with individuals now, is that we have the power. We have the ruby slippers. However, even when we know we can do the change, we're not willing to, because we become so comfortable in that messy yuck that life tends to sometimes be. And although we may hate where we are, it's easier to stay stuck than it is to maybe do the uncomfortable or pursue the things that may be unpopular or the things that maybe we haven't seen by somebody else. And I know that, for instance, for me in my marriage, I knew from a very early point in my first marriage that it wasn't working, and that that this is not where I needed to be, that I wasn't loved, respected, honored, and, everything else that comes with that. But it was so much easier to stay because it was a level of comfort. It was what I knew. It was also what will I do? What will happen next? And some of those fears, right, that our brain just goes off and is telling us danger, danger, were some of the things that kept me from taking agency and also kept me stuck. And for many individuals, we don't take and don't choose to take agency because we like where we are in the unknown. And of course, our need to fit in is another great motivator for us to stay. Because if we are going to then take a step in a direction that maybe nobody else is taking, or a direction that people that love us haven't seen and will cause them discomfort, it's easier for us to stay where we are.
Yeah, I find it's so interesting how we give up our agency without even knowing it, right? It's not like, at least for me, it wasn't like, here you go, right?
Yeah.
Take my agency.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if we get busy and we stop paying attention or what it is, but for me, it was kind of this awakening that happened to say, like, hey, where did that go?
Yeah.
And then there was this whole process of reclaiming it, but it's not, I don't know, like, do you think, like, either one of you or both of you, like, do you think, like, does it leak away, or does it, like, I don't know, hide? Like, what happens to our agency? Like, what happens to it when it just kind of feels like it disappears?
I mean, I certainly have an opinion on it, but I'm curious, Kim, because you asked the first question on agency. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I think we do. It does, in a sense, leak away. I think that there's also a tremendous amount of systemic conditioning that has caused it to be taken from us without us knowing. And I think we actually show up very early in our lives, through the educational process, through the way that our schools are even set up, where we begin to lose our agency at a very young age. And so even as we grow, like, we've been systemically conditioned for so long to not actually know what agency looks like. So that's why I don't think we think about it. Because nobody asks us, hey.
Nobody asks us. Nobody tells us. And absolutely, I totally agree with you in the sense that a lot of these things are very systemic, and they become so part of the white noise of life that we don't even notice them. And we go about doing life, right? Fulfilling the expectations of society, the world, the people that love us. And we may have had our own expectations, and perhaps we're pursuing them. But then we get so caught up in this is it that we don't stop to evaluate, to create intentionality. And when we don't create intentionality, then we're becoming habitual with the things that don't serve us.
And we see that around us, right? Like, it's not just us who this is happening to, it's everyone. And so Julie, you mentioned like, how do we belong or how do we fit in? It feels like, well, everybody else is doing it, so I'll do that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the reasons I started my podcast. And the premise of the podcast is originally I wanted to show women that we don't always have it together. We don't always feel confident. When I was in my corporate job, every promotion, I would get the woman who would say, "You're so confident. I could never do that." And I would look at them and said, I don't not always feel confident. I don't always have it together, right? But we make the assumption, we create this narrative that if someone is doing something is because they have it together. But yet we don't realize that that person struggled, that person was a beginner, that person failed, that person decided to do it again and again until they get to that achievement, right? And that's the thing. Sometimes we put on such great weight on ourselves that if I'm not doing it, or if I'm not doing it like that person, I don't belong. And yet the answer is be able to say, hey, I want to do that, but that doesn't fit for me. And it's okay if it doesn't fit for me. And yeah.
That belonging starts from inside.
Yeah.
Right. Because you used the term fit in earlier, and that is what we want to do. We want to fit in.
Right.
And yet that sense of belonging that we actually can start to nurture within ourselves allows us to be in these situations where we aren't trying to fit in and we aren't pushing ourselves in a direction and we aren't showing up in a way that, let me actually say that not in the negative. So we are showing up more intentionally. It becomes there's more capacity and more ease with showing up with intentionality, because it's not always easy.
No, not at all. And I mean, just because you learn that you can and you start showing up intentionally, it doesn't mean that we're not perfect. I mean, we'll never be. And we will go back and not necessarily struggle with the same lesson. The lesson becomes a little deeper to learn, right? We learned the beginner part of that lesson. We healed in that beginner part. And then let's go to the next level. And the wounds begin to heal. But the reality is that programming will stay the same. And it's not until we do the work and we practice different programming, then we shift. But for me, I think that belonging, and again, this is my TED Talk is about belonging. And the reason that I talked about it is because, again, not the conversation that we have. And the world ends up distorting the conversation also, depending on what slant you're bringing to the table. But for many of us, and right, the premise, I used the quote by Verna Miles, and is equity is about being invited to the party. And inclusion, which is belonging, is about being able to dance at the party. And so many of us are in the party. So many of us make ourselves known at the party. But really being able to take the step to actually unwind and say, I'm going to dance, and I'm not going to dance like anybody else. I'm going to dance my own way, right? And being okay with your dance being different than others. That's where we struggle, because we want to do the line dance. It's so much easier. We don't have to think of the steps. We're following everybody. If we look silly, everybody else is looking silly at the same time, right?
Yeah. I think it's really important to really like delineate, right? Fitting in sometimes means masking, right? And to say, I want to fit into this crowd. I want to be like everyone else. But when we're truly talking about belonging, we're talking about like, how can you authentically be yourself? How can you be who you are in that space and find those communities that accept you, who allow you to dance, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
who don't, I don't know about you, but I remember very clearly, right? Like sock hops in grade 7 and 8 and like, right. And the kids lined up around the gym. And heaven forbid you should go out and dance.
And be the first one, or
right.
dance.
And be the first one, dance your own way. Right.
Yeah.
Hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I talked about this on the podcast not too long ago, and I am a Jimmy Buffett diehard parrot head. Okay. I've been to more Jimmy Buffett concerts than, I don't know, and anything else you can imagine. Obviously, I haven't been to Jimmy Buffett since he passed, and there is a band, a tribute band that is here in New England. I love them. We went to see them, and it was a very interesting venue. It's a little theater that is very historical, has been around for 100 years. And as you walk in, it doesn't have, it's not a theater sitting. They had set up some tables for people to sit in. And then there was a stage where they were going to perform. I walked in and I was the youngest person in the room at 50 something. And I thought, and by the way, I think that most people had a subscription, and that's why they were there. They had a subscription to whatever event the theater is having. So we were not the front, not the back, but somewhere in the middle. And of course, they start playing and I'm swaying along and I'm there with my 82-year-old mother and my husband. And my husband is used to me just, dancing and whatever. And I kept thinking, this is the first Jimmy Buffett-esque event that I am not up dancing and clapping. And I thought, wow, I don't know about this crowd, right? And I looked around and again, I was having a good time, but it just felt not me, right? And the head of the band, the guy, the main singer, he said, hey, I want to encourage you to get up and dance. We have this whole up here. And nobody got up. And he's playing and he's like, come on, someone. And I thought, screw everybody. I'm going to go up there. And I went because that's the person that I am. And I didn't care that anybody was watching and I didn't care that anybody was thinking. I was there for myself. I was there to enjoy something that I love. And guess what? That includes me dancing. And by the time it was all said and done, several other people came up and then the conga line ensued, etc. Right? But I didn't do it to set up an example. I didn't do it because I wanted to look at me. I'm going to go dance. I did it because that's me. And I wanted to show up authentically, and which is how I like to go anywhere. If I want to get up and dance, I will dance. If I want to raise my hand because I don't agree with what you're saying, I will be that person. But it's taken practice, but it's also taking that knowledge that I would rather live with whatever consequences of going to dance when nobody else is dancing, rather than sitting around and regretting that I didn't do it. Right?
It's so interesting that it started, like I have this beautiful picture of you up there just enjoying the music and then a conga line starting. And I'm like, wow, look at that. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. And I think we have all of these, again, they've been piled on us and then we've taken them on as our own, all of these inhibitions where it's like, I can't do that. Somebody's going to watch, somebody's going to think something, somebody's going to, right? Releasing those allows us to be in our own lives, like fully in our own lives, fully doing our own work, fully being ourselves. And I think most of the people walking on this earth today don't actually know what that feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That breaks my heart.
And that's why we do the work that we do, right? Because we've been able to step into that and we know how transformative it has been for us. And of course, when we like something and something has made a difference, we tend to tell people about it. And what better way of doing it than not only telling them, but being the people that ushers them into their own transformation, their own new chapter, their own whatever it might be, empowering them.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I imagine people in that audience seeing you get up go, holy cow, is she ever confident? Right? Like, holy man, like, look at her. Like, look what she's doing. I could never do that. It's the same. It's the same thing, right? That we do over and over and over again. And all we're trying to be is be ourselves, is to step in to say like, but this is who I am. So I don't want to be afraid to not be who I am.
Yeah. And Louise, by the way, I have to tell you, I have a clear picture of that junior high dance, right? And I have a very clear memory from a very early age. I've been the dancer. I've been the one who's grooving along and used to choreograph her cousins and sisters into all the dance moves and dance shows, right? And at one point, and I talk about it again on my TED Talk, I got to junior high and I had to suppress myself. And I remember being at that first dance. I don't know if it was 7th grade or 8th grade, but I remember the music was playing and I was excited. And I was excited for my first dance, obviously. And the dance floor was empty and I wanted to dance. And when people started to go into the dance floor, I never took the step. And I remember years later, or as life began to move forward, I thought, that's not me. That's not me. So it wasn't that I became more confident to dance in front of people. It was that I decided that I was going to practice moving and doing the thing that was my thing, that I enjoy, that I embrace, that makes me happy, as opposed to, sitting in the background and not taking that opportunity to dance. And maybe it's confidence. Maybe I built that muscle, but it was always a decision. Every time it has been a decision.
So interesting. I must have gone to very different high schools than both of you.
No soccer?
No, we did, but I remember clearly we just went as a group and we just bounced our way through right? We're all about the same age and we were just bebopping to whatever music was on and we didn't care if we were on a dance floor, if we were in the middle of the quad, if we were in the middle of the Taco Bell, whatever it was.
Well, but this is a junior high, middle school, not high school. I think that in high school things begin to change, right? Because you find the power of community and you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with people. And it's, it's that group.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think so I'm thinking 7th, 8th grade. So that would have been the same time. That was still, that was still high school for us. So I found more confidence when I started doing things on my own. When I was doing things in groups, it was easy to be part of the group.
Yeah.
But I didn't really feel like, thinking back to that time, I didn't really feel like that it was fun and it was exciting, but it wasn't Kim. Like it was Kim, but it was Kim as the group.
Yeah.
Versus, hello puppy. Versus because I was on the speech and debate team, I used to do duos.
Yep.
And then I started doing it on my own. And I found my voice by doing it on my own, not by doing it with somebody else.
Yeah. Love that, Kim. And I think that that's why we need to have the opportunity or the space to try it out on our own. Right. And I am sure as you were in the debate team, you had other people that came alongside of you and said, oh, great job. And this may be another way to improve. And this may be another way in which you can hone in that skill. And then you also probably went back and say, oh, maybe I need to do it this way. Right. And all of that begins to build your confidence bank.
Some of it was that. And some of it was me hearing that and saying, I don't want to do that then, because that's just also my personality. That started, the rebel personality started coming online there. When
I love that.
People started to see it's like, if I liked it about myself and I'm not, so it definitely got squashed again, right? Because we go through those periods. It's not that we become confident, we stay confident always.
Right. No.
Right.
Never.
We have these times, and I moved twice in high school. And so I had a new friend group a couple of different times.
Yeah.
So I just was kind of stepping in and being me and then doing the activities that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
When I went to college, and I moved a bunch during college too, it became harder for me to find my confidence. It was a bigger like there were more people, there were more choices. I felt less grounded. When I first started work, I felt confident again, right? I could step in, and then as I started to move up the ladder, I felt less confident. And then when I went out on my own, I'm like, hell yeah, I feel totally confident.
Totally
again,
confident.
Right?
Yeah.
So I find it interesting how we do move in and out of that in very different times of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You use the word try and practice, right? Like all of these things come into play around confidence because we do need to be practicing it. We do need to be putting ourselves in different spaces and opportunities and see what we see and notice what we notice about the space and the environment and then also about ourselves, right? It's this constant evaluation. It's about data and what's going on and all of that. I had a client actually just this week, super confident, right? Like she was like, yeah, I landed this role. It was created for me. It's like, it just feels like it's been this, what I've been working for my entire career. I have it and I own it and I love it. And I'm in a meeting and somebody says to me, I don't know what you do or why it's important. And immediately, right? She went from 100% to like 30 in a heartbeat, in less than a breath.
Wow. I'm so sorry that happened.
Right?
Yeah. And, you know, I picture it. And I think that this goes back to there's a level of confidence that we have, right? She got this great role. She was in, okay, yay, I got it, right? And then all of a sudden, when people didn't understand her level of competency because she had not been in the role long enough or whatever it might be, right? She had not gotten to practice how good she could be at that role. Then of course the level of confidence kind of shrunk. And that's why I truly believe confidence is a practice. It's a habit. It's about showing up imperfectly and gaining a little more insight that, okay, I'm doing it. Check evidence that I can do that, right? More evidence that I did a little better. And then the more evidence we have, then we become more competent. The competency at doing the thing, whatever it might be, that's what gives us the confidence. And there are the different layers of confidence. And that's something that it's so important to remember that in our confidence is not going to look the same way in every space. And it's not going to look the same as it does for other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important because, you know, it's not, again, us trying to fit into like that version of confidence. It's how we feel. And I think it goes back to that belonging. I feel like it comes from the same place. The more authentic we can be, the more we can be ourselves, whatever that is. And if you are feeling like you're not called to dance, that can be confidence too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think to my husband, he was not going to get up and dance, but he was perfectly fine with that. And he was perfectly fine staying put. And that, right? Because he could be feeling, right? And not just husbands, but maybe a friend was with me. They could have been feeling like, oh, I'm not enough. Or wait, what is Julie going to think that I'm not up there with them, right? Our mind can be so tricky. And this is why, right? Agency and being able to say, hey, why am I thinking? Why do I think that? Is that true? Is it real? And those are the things that, again, help us improve and are the building blocks to our empowerment.
Yeah. What's mine?
Yeah.
Right. Because mine could be to dance. Mine could be not to dance. Mine could be start painting in the moment, right? Start drawing,
Love
whatever it is that's mine.
Yeah.
It's owning that. And the flip side to that, right, is it's owning the totality. It's also owning and taking responsibility for those aspects of self that aren't always the parts that like I love the dancing part of Kim. Don't always like the, when I get a little crunchy around the edges. But that's also me.
Right. That's also me. Right.
And I have the agency to understand that part about me. And how do I lean into the totality of me? Right.
Yeah.
When is it okay for me to be crunchy? And when do I feel like I can say, yeah, in this moment, I need to be that right now. That's just who I am right now. Yeah.
And here's the other piece of it too, right? And I think that this is the hardest thing. I've talked to a couple people about this week, and being able to acknowledge all of our parts. That's part of the most difficult things that we can do, because we are going to encounter things that, boy, do they scare us, or boy, do they not fit in, or totally, maybe we were told, I don't know what that is, and who you are, like, or you don't matter, whatever it is, the messages that we've gotten. Being able to be fully open with ourselves, look at ourselves in the mirror, every single part, wrinkle, little pieces that don't look perfect, right? Or are perfect for that matter. That's the hardest thing. And until we, I don't love it at times. Like, I stand in front of the mirror and I'm like, oh God, Julie, put something on or do something different, because that's my conditioning. And it takes intentionality to say, oh my God, I love you, even though, you may not be as svelte as I'd like you, or you may not be standing as strong, or look at those gray hairs coming up, right? Yeah. We have to notice when we're not being the compassionate person and accepting of ourselves.
There's the word, acceptance.
Yeah. And nobody really teaches you to accept yourself, honestly, from a very young age. As a woman, conform, smile, even though you don't feel like it. Or, hey, maybe if you put a little makeup on, oh, that boy likes you, that's why he's hitting on you, or whatever, and being mean to you. No, then you're telling that part of me that, oh my God, it's okay for, that boy to pick on me. We don't teach each other. And that's why the work that you're doing is important, because now it's that new renaissance where we're seeing, wait a minute, let me accept, love myself, teach myself, embrace myself, and be okay with the shifts that are happening, and allow myself the room to grow, and then have that runway to the next thing.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to underline, is that acceptance isn't that we stop growing or we stop moving, right? Acceptance is this ability to fit into our own skin so that we're able to do those things the way we want. And not have to spend this extra energy trying to conform and be something that we're not. And I think that also gets kind of mixed up in the messaging too, is that an acceptance is like a settling. And it's not at all. That's not what we're talking about. Right?
100%.
Acceptance is not
you're in there. Yeah. I totally agree with you. And I think that this is the work, right? That we not only have to remind ourselves of, but this is the communities that when we come together and hold each other accountable, when we, I often talk about it in the podcast, right? We are each other's believing mirrors, because we're not always going to have the bandwidth to see it or to do it. But somebody else is going to remind us of our goodness, our greatness, our abilities, and how we are also beginning and learners too. But they're going to shine back to us the possibility and give us the permission slips that we're looking for.
I think what's hard about acceptance is the yes and, right? There's the acceptance aspect of I'm growing, I love myself, I can learn to love myself, and accepting that not everything is the way we want it to be.
Yeah, and it may never be too, right?
Exactly.
Because yes, we're work in progress, but I may never get to be that, elite athlete that runs Ironmans.
Right.
That may not be me. Yes, and I'm going to maybe become better at going around my block and maybe doing a quick little run, but yes, and. Yeah. So good. Oh, you guys always have this type of conversation. I love it. I need to come hang out more often. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's I find these conversations so important to have because the messages that are out there are often so just be more confident, just be yourself. Like it would be so easy just to snap your fingers or follow someone's prescription or their framework, and then all of a sudden you're this different person. And it's not that, because it's different for us, but it's also different for us almost every day, or like every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because as you were speaking, I heard in the background, maybe it's Maybelline, right? Like, okay, maybe it's the mascara we're wearing, or maybe it's the other thing. I've been shopping on TikTok lately, and yesterday I logged in and it was late, and I'm just going to scroll for a little bit. And of course, I don't know what it is. They're like selling me everything in the kitchen sink lately on TikTok. And there is the Peter Thomas Roth eye cream. Do you guys know what it is? It's okay. So I'm like, oh, I have that. Oh, but this is the new formula. I should get that. I'm going to be in front of the camera a lot. I really need it. And I'm thinking, I had it in the cart, and I thought, Julie, no one's seeing your eyes. Who cares? And you have something already. It's like we're always trying to get the next best thing because we're conditioned that we need the next best thing. And the world is throwing at us the next best thing. And unfortunately, no one is saying to us, hey, it's okay if you have bags under your eyes. And hey, it's okay, right? Whatever fill in the blank may be. And guess what? I may not necessarily want to look at myself with bags under my eyes all the time. So that's okay if I want to get the cream too, right? So those are the things that we need to be able to give ourselves permission for.
That's the yes and, right?
The yes and.
It's the understanding and the acceptance. And in a lot of the work that I do, because I work a lot in the social impact space, it's allowing people to understand they're doing the best that they can, as long as they're making those aligned decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
So, right, whatever you decide to buy, wherever you decide to buy it, as long as that is in alignment with your values, the best way it can be. So long as you're not making those decisions based on what the systems, what the patriarchy, et cetera, are telling you, you have to make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You don't want that internalized misogyny.
That. Yeah, I think that this is one of the things that I love so much about the space in which we're in, right? Because our mothers, for instance, did not necessarily have these opportunities. And we are forging the way for others in this sense, right? We're forging the way.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I hope we don't need podcasts like this, right? 10 years from now. I really hope that
I think
we're
we
able
will
to do that. Yeah.
But more people are going to be exposed to them. And this is the beauty of podcasting, right? Because the message that both of you have is the message that somebody is going to need to hear in 10 years. Yes, maybe less people, hopefully less people, and we've done that work. But your message remains, and it's available as a legacy to the work that you're doing, and others coming behind you saying, I've done this work because this is the space that was provided for me by this podcast, by the work that each of you is doing.
Yeah. So while we may not be having the daily conversations that we are, because we're evolving and growing, others will still have that opportunity to learn from what we've already been having. And then we'll join other people in other conversations. And right, it's the cool thing. And continue to have the conversations that need to be had. And that's really the basis of what we try to bring to every conversation is what are we not talking about? What are we not, maybe in our individual worlds, the three of us on the screen are having these conversations a lot. But these conversations aren't in the global context.
No, they're not. And think about it. You asked me, when did I first start this personal development? 2009. It seems like a long time. But I was 49. I think about Tony Robbins has been around how long? And the workers, the people that have learned from him and the people that have been in the personal development space for how long? And John Maxwell and everyone. And I didn't even know who John Maxwell was at some point, So people have been having these conversations. And yes, more of us are in there, but there's never, the work is going to be finished. because the human experience prevails. And it's easier to stay stuck. It's easier to not be aware. It's easier to do things how we've done it, right? Rather than asking the right questions. Being willing to not belong for a period of time because you're going to be stepping out of the norm. But then you find your people, then you find your communities, then you find your place in the world.
And you begin to have conversations like these.
Again and again.
Again and again. Exactly.
Yeah.
This has been such a nourishing conversation. I hope it has for the two of you as well.
Oh, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm excited. I mean, I wish, you guys were coming over for dinner. We can have a glass of wine.
Exactly.
Right?
It would be lovely.
Yeah, I'm ready to pull out my glass of wine for the guests.
Yay. If we were to circle or highlight or put giant neon signs around one thing that we want the audience to really take away from this conversation today, what would that be for each of us?
Confidence is a habit, and it doesn't mean that you will do it right and right away. You will have to practice it. But if you promise yourself that you're going to show up at least 1% better every day, you're going to find that your level of confidence and the way that you're showing up in the world is improving daily.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important too to remember that, although we're talking about mindset and we were talking about it's like something that's so like deeply personal, that we're also talking about the systems, right? We're talking about the air we breathe. We talk about the water we're in. And I think that's important for people to hear and understand as well, is that it isn't a one and done. It isn't a finger snap, right? There's a lot of mechanics that are going on and we can get caught off guard sometimes, and that's okay. Just, right? Again, right? What you were saying, Julie, practice, keep showing up for yourself over and over again. It's okay if you fall down a bit.
Yeah, that's part of the deal. Fall down, be willing to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's it wasn't implicitly said, it's this idea of the careful what we're consuming and internalizing, right? Or not even just careful, be aware of what we're internalizing and consuming, because that is what is affecting us day after day, moment after moment, and is having us think that we need to buy something, or that we're not confident enough, or that we're whatever those things are.
Right.
Outside of our own agency, outside of what we know to be true for ourselves. But it starts with that awareness of how much we've actually internalized.
Love that. Oh, you guys are awesome. I love it.
You're awesome. And Julie, let our listeners know where they can get more of this awesome you.
Well, you can find me at goconfidentlycoaching.com, and that's where you can find the podcast. You can find my book. You can find all the things. That's my hub. And if you are wondering or questioning or thinking she needs to explain that a little more, you can always send me a note in there at goconfidentlycoaching.com.
Well, that will all be in the show notes.
Yep. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I so appreciate you having the space on, for me to come and hang out, but also for others to sort of navigate what it means to be in this world and show up authentically, but more importantly, become that 1% better.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Julie. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.
And that's all for this week's episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. We hope today's episode has sparked something within you. Remember, we're all on this journey together. If something did resonate with you today, why not share it with a friend who might need to hear it too? You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review. Your feedback not only helps others find the show, but also helps us understand what's most valuable to you. Until next time, be kind to yourself, stay curious, and remember, we're walking right alongside you. Thanks for being part of our community.